Welcome to students. Today we are going to discuss about the remaining points of the tunnel engineering topic. In last lecture we have to already discuss to TBM, the working and TBM parts. In this lecture we have to see the remaining part, there is a tunnel lighting and ventilation of the in the tunneling. Let's have start. The first point is the today's lecture is tunnel lighting. The good lighting is essential one of the following locations. The first, obstruction in the tunnel, drilling and mucking zones, bottom of shafts, storage points, underground repair shops, pumping stations, switches, turnouts and passing tracks where work is in the progress. The tunnel lighting it is very useful at the time of the working and also at the time of the transportation or the traffic. It is a various objectives or various essential points is the first is the obstruction in the tunnel, drilling and mucking zones, bottom of the shafts, storage points, underground repair shops, pumping station, switches, turnouts and passing tracks, and also last one is the where work is in the progress. Next, types of tunnel lights. There are the main four types of the tunnel lights. The first one is the lanterns and lamp burning oil, coal gas lighting, acetylene gas lighting, and last one is the electric lighting. Where to this, where to see this type of the tunnel lighting in detail. First, lanterns and lamp burning oil. It is the used in the survey work and during the use of the instruments. It is a function of this type is the survey work and during the use of the instruments. The carried in the hand and burning gasoline is used to get light from them. This type of the tunnel lighting we have to carrying in the hand at the burning the gasoline and used to get the light from them. And second type is the coal gas lighting. The coal gas it is taken in the pipe from the gas plant and it is then burned. The coal gas it is the first we have to gas taken in the pipe from the gas plant and it is after that this we have to burnt. It's a light brilliant steady. It's a light is the brilliant steady, but disadvantage is the like explosion take place if there is any leakage in the gas pipeline, but it is a very harmful if there will be any leakages in through the gas pipeline. It will be possibility of the explosion or explosion take place. That time that cause we have to not taking the any risk at the time of the working also traffic, uh, transportation traffic. Next type is the acetylene gas lighting. The acetylene gas is used to produce the light in tunnel, the acetylene lamp. Not common at present. Acetylene gas is too dangerous. This type of the tunnel lighting is not used in nowadays because this acetylene gas is too very dangerous to at the time of the working also at the time of the traffic. Next, electric lighting. Absence of smoke. Do not consume oxygen. Steady and brilliant light. Wires and lamps are easily put and removed. Nowadays we have to use for the electric lighting. It's a very easily and it is a way to getting the steady and brilliant light and it's absence the smoke or no any gases or no any smokes are created. Also it is do not consume the oxygen and wires and lamps are easily putting the put and remote or at the time of we have to easily maintenance and repairing this lighting. Here we seen that the image of the electric lighting at the requirement or as per the need of the lighting we have to putting the electric lightings. In this picture we see that the steady and bright lighting in the tunnel is most important factor for the at the time of the traveling. Okay, next important point is the ventilation during construction. It is a very useful or it is a very important at it ventilation is at the time of the working, also at the time of the uh, transporting. First, we have to see in detail. First, why is required? First, to furnish fresh air for the workers. The workers have to need the fresh air at the time of the working. To remove the dust caused by drilling, blasting, mucking, diesel engines and other operations. The ventilation is the function or is the application we to use for the removing the dust caused by the drilling or excavating, blasting, mucking or diesel engines gases and also other operations. To remove obnoxious gases and fumes of explosives. Next is how done. Its mechanical ventilation is usually supplied by electric fans as for example axial flow pressure fans. There are the two types of the ventilation. The first is the mechanical ventilation and second is the natural ventilation. In mechanical ventilation, we have to supply or we have to provide the electric fans for the example axial flow pressure fans. Uh, in fa- if air is blown into the tunnel, it may be forced through a lightweight pipe or fabric duct. If air is exhausted, it is necessary to use the rigid duct that will not collapse. This mechanical ventilation we have to use the if the air is blown into tunnel or if we have to air is the provide the tunnel, it may be forced through the lightweight pipe or fabric duct. And if the air is exhausted or if air is available in the air in the tunnel, we have to need to exist, then it is necessary to use the rigid duct and that will not collapse. The exhaust method have the advantage of more quickly removing obstructional air from spaces occupied by the workers. The exhaust method is a very useful or a very advantage method for the quickly removing obstructional air from the spaces occupied by the workers. Next, ventilation of tunnel. The mechanical ventilation system provides the temperature, humidity, and air velocity conditions necessary to give tunnel users as a reasonable degree of comfort during normal operations. The mechanical ventilation system provides to controlling the temperature, humidity, and air velocity conditions necessary to give the tunnels users the reasonable degree of the comfort during the normal operations. When fire occurs in the tunnel, the system must also provide a safe evacuation route for tunnel users and access for the firefighting services. If there is a fire occurs in the tunnel, that the system must also be provide the safe evacuation route for the tunnel users and also it access for the firefighting services. Next, the choice and design of a ventilation system depends on these main factors. The requirement of the or methods of the tunnel ventilation is depending following factors. First is the tunnel length and volume. The first important point is the tunnel length of the tunnel and volume of the tunnel. Second, admissible air pollution around the tunnel portals. Next, fire safety consideration. Next, key pollutants include carbon dioxide, nitrogen oxides, nitrogen dioxide, hydrocarbons, PM10 and lead. Next, better understanding of ventilation techniques. Next, awareness of new safety and environmental legislation. Is the various choice and design of the ventilation is depend on the factors. First important factor is the length of the tunnel and volume of the tunnel. Second, the admissible air pollution around the tunnel portals. Third one is the for the again safety purposes, the fire safety consideration. Next, the key pollutants include the carbon dioxide, nitrogen oxides, hydrocarbons, PM10 and lead is all the air pollutants contained. And next, better understanding of the ventilation techniques that is expert, the awareness of the new safety and environmental legislation. Next, methods of the tunnel ventilation in tunnels. The first, natural method and mechanical method. In mechanical method we have to use that is subtype the blowing process, exhausting process, and combination of blowing and exhausting process. We have to see one by one. First, the blowing process, that is a ventilation system. The longitudinal, the air set in motion along the tunnel axis. The portal to portal same speed throughout the tunnel length. No division into the aerodynamic segments. Low cost, does not need transverse air egress points. Time to per fall air depends on airflow velocity and tunnel length. Here is in the blowing process of ventilation system image or picture. It's a longitudinal process. It's a portal to portal same speed through the out the tunnel length. This is portal portal same speed through the tunnel length. Also no division of the any aerodynamic segments, as it's a very low cost as economy and does not need to transverse air egress points. And time to perk the foul air depends on the airflow velocity and tunnel length. Next, exhausting process that transfers vertically. The two independent ducts, the fresh air inflow and exhaust air exit. In the exhausting process, we have to need the two ducts. The first duct is the fresh air inflow, and second duct is the exhaust air exit. Can create the aerodynamic sections in case of fire. Many may need transverse exit rules, the low overburden ventilation shafts stationed in metros. Next, costlier in install and operate, more aerodynamic losses. It's we have to create the aerodynamic station in the case of the fires. We have to need the transverse exit rules, the low overburden ventilation shafts and station in metros, and it's very costly and operate. And it's very repairing maintenance is costly, and also its installation is very high cost. In this picture we have to see that the two ducts, the first is the air inflow and second duct is the exhaust air exit. In first duct is the airflow in the tunneling, and in second picture we have to see the existing the air or exhaust air. Next, the combination of blowing and exhausting process. It is a very suitable, and this method we have to use the any type of the tunnel construction and all the type of the tunnel construction. Next, the semi transverse. It's also very, horizontal as well as vertical method or system. The combination of the longitudinal and transverse system. The separation of fresh and exhaust air. So you have to separate the fresh and exhaust air. The reversible, the fire case, fresh air through portal, exhaust through ventilation stack, permitting aerodynamic separation, and normally fresh air through ventilation stacks and larger tunnel in X section. This is the very useful, and this is at the time of installing the combination longitudinal transfer system is installing. It's in the we have to separate the fresh and exhaust air. We are seeing that the separating the fresh air and it's the exhaust air or exit the air is reversible at the time of the fire case. The fresh air through the portal, the pressure coming through the portal, and exhausted through ventilation stack, and the exhausting the ventilation stack and permitting aerodynamic separations. Normally fresh air through the ventilation stacks and larger tunnels in the X section is very useful to at the largest tunnels, that is the length of the tunnel, also shape of the tunnel. But it is a very useful for the or applicable for the safety purposes, that cause we have to use nowadays that this type of the ventilation method or type. This is a combination of blowing and exhausting process. In this picture we have to see the combination of the blowing and exhausting process. This is the image of the inside tunneling. Next, the drainage of tunnels. The drainage of tunnels means the controlling water during and after the construction of the tunnel. The drainage of tunnels, it is nothing but the controlling the water during the construction and after the construction. Then sources of water. The in driving tunnel, water comes from the two cells. The wash water used for the washing drill holes and groundwater or subsoil water. The source of the water is the two uh, sources. The first is the wash water used at the washing drill holes, and second is the groundwater or subsoil water. The drainage of the system is the first is the temporary system or permanent system. We have to provide the is either temporary system or permanent system. In temporary system, the open ditch drainage system and pumping system. We have to provide the open ditch pumping system, drainage system or pumping system. And in permanent system, that is the central drain system, we have to construct the central drain system. And second, corrugated sheet roof with the side drains, single side drain system. And second is the corrugated sheet roof with the side drains and single side drain system. The first, next is the temporary drainage system. The temporary drainage system is employed during the construction of tunnel. That this is the we have to provide the at the time of the or during the construction of the tunnel, and it can be either open ditch system or the drainage of by pumping. The providing is a temporary drainage. We have to provide either open ditch system or drainage by pumping. Next, permanent drainage system. The permanent drainage system is provided in the completed tunnel section to save the pavements and railway track. The permanent drainage system we have to provide for the after the completed the tunnel sections and to saving the pavements and railway tracks. This is the main application of function of the temporary drainage system and permanent drainage system. You see that the permanent drainage is the central drain you have to provide, system is provided. Next picture we have to see in the side drains we have to provide. This is a corrugated sheet roof, the open space. It's a picture of the corrugated sheet roof and side drains. Next, safety in the tunnel construction. That's the causes of accidents. First, limited working space. The space in the tunnel construction, tunneling inside the tunnel construction, the limited space available. That cause it's happened as accidents. Next, wet and slippery platforms. Second, handling of explosive. The unseen weakness in the rock, pressure of equipment for loading and hauling, etc., operation and movement of trains, working in heavy machines above the ground. There are the causes of the accidents, the various causes of the accidents in the tunneling. The first is the limited working space, to shortened space is available for the working. Next, wet and slippery platforms. We have to provide the temporary platforms for the working, but it's wet and slippery. Next, handling explosive. The explosive handling is a very important fact, or it's an important point. We have to handling the explosive only expert but or a known person, but it's not happening at the time of the construction. That was the accidents causing or forming. Next, unseen weakness in the rock. After the explosion or after the extraction, there will be so many unseen or a loose rock are present. Next, pressure of equipment for loading and hauling. The pressure of the equipment, the weight of the weight of the equipment is the loading at it and hauling. Next, operation and movement of the trains and working heavy machines above the ground. Then what is the safety measures? The proper design of timbers and supports prevent accidents due to rock falls. We have to designing the proper design the timbers and support to properly and prevents or avoiding this accident due to the rock falls. The walls and roof the tunnel should be frequently inspected. The walls and roof of the tunnel should be strictly checked or strictly inspected. Next, provide the extra light where essential material is stored. To provide the extra light where is the material is stored. Next, unwanted machines and construction materials should not be stored in the tunnel. Next, loading of bunk and hauling operations should be performed with great care. Next, steel helmet, protective clothing, rubber gloves, goggles, etc. must be put on by every worker as required by regulations. We have to taking the safety of the worker to take the safety of the worker to providing the various safety equipment such as the steel helmets, protective clothing, rubber gloves, and goggles at the time of the construction or the working in the tunnel. Next, proper signaling. Flashlights help to reducing the accident due to movement of trains. To provide the proper signaling and the flashlights in the inside the tunneling, that cause we have to prevent to accidents. Next, provide the extra light where essential material is stored. Next, safety sign board should be provided at the various places along the tunnels. We have to installing the safety signboards at the should be provided at the various places in the along the tunnel. These are remedial measures or safety measures were to taken at the during the construction and after the construction of the tunneling. Next is transit railway tunnel. Here we see that this image, the at the time of the railway tunneling we have to provide the various points. The first is the important the limit of movement of under normal operation. The first is we have to provide the minimum space of the train at the time of the movement. Next is the signals. We have to provide the signals. It's an important play role in the at the time of the tunneling. Next is the power cables. It's the radio leaky feeder. Various radio leaky feeder. Next, fire hydrant main. Next, low level lighting. The low level lighting. Next, emergency access walkways. Emergency access walkways. At the time if any emergency created or in the time of the repairs and maintaining, it's very useful. 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3 and 4 meter. Next, sub walkway lighting. Sub walkway lighting is communication cables. It's very useful. The communication cables is evacuation walkways. Low level lighting is handrail. Tunnel telephones is tunnel telephones. Walkway lighting is the walkway lighting. Is low level lighting and is the walkway lighting. And next is the overhead electrification. All the overhead electrification. These all the points we have to provide at the time of the construction of railway tunneling. Okay, here I declare that the tunnel engineering topic is completed. If any doubt related to this topic, you can contact me anytime and WhatsApp me. And I request or appeal to all the students, please subscribe the video and like more and more. Thank you so much.